So hello, after hiatus and time for preparation, I have finally caught up to myself and
Oh, wow!
gathered something that's a little worthwhile.
Oh,
Hope you enjoy.
cool! Come on, let's go! No, but I want to take a look at the big city!
Yeah, it does seem pretty exciting.
I feel so metropolitan. Cosmopolitan? Metropolitan! Ooh. Now what? I gotta tell Riku what a blast this place is.
But we just got here. We haven't even done anything yet.
Blast? I'll show you a blast!
The Heartless!
Come on! Whoa!
Go, go! Are you okay?
What in...
Go, go! Baymax!
Go-Go's suit has shielded her from a major injury, but the blow she sustained to her head has caused a mild concussion. We should take caution and not move her until we can fully stabilize her head.
Got it.
Oh, cool! That's a robot!
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
Oh! Wow! Cool! This rules!
Sora, remember our other problem?
Whoops! Oh, yeah!
Hey! Who are you?
Oh! I'm Sora.
And I'm Goofy.
Name's Hero. You mind helping us fight those things?
Huh?
Our team's called Big Hero 6.
Sure.
Let's go! Baymax!
So, I died here. Just saying. I also died a lot. Along this whole playthrough, actually. I started my critical mode playthrough, and I did New Game Plus. And I had been leveling up and going through the game, and I got up to this point fairly quickly, actually. And this was the point where I started to have a lot of difficulty in my critical mode playthrough. So I kept trucking through and doing little bits at a time and saving wherever I could and recording whenever I could, and I realized that once I got to Scala at Kylum and started doing the final boss on critical mode, I had screwed up a lot of my recording. Not just in the fact that I had a lot of just videos of me dying over and over again, I also had a lot of videos of me messing myself up and getting lost and having to go and backtrack a lot. And then I also just straight up missed pieces when I would be trying to do, a quick hour or so before work, or, I had some time before I go to bed at night, things like that. I have been a little busy preparing for the summertime. I am a seasonal worker, so I like to get most of my money during the summertime. And there's my first death of the video. So now I can really tell you guys the important part of something that I have developed in my playthrough, and that is I am on critical mode level 1. I have not been gaining XP. I have been playing through on level 1 and getting wrecked. Honestly, this game is so difficult, and the only reason why I did as well as I did on my proud mode and on my critical mode when I first did it was because I've just played Kingdom Hearts before. I knew the tricks that they were going to try to pull on me, so when they pulled the new tricks, I was at least ready to just compensate for those instead of all of the tricks. Another thing that I noticed was when I started my critical mode playthrough and I got up to Corona, and I really started to notice that the whole AI update, the whole behavior change that they did when they added critical mode to the game, the behavior change was definitely noticeable for me. I have been watching Bizkit47's speedrun of this game on level 1, and he mentions a lot where there's not a lot of difference with the AI behavior, but he does say, oh, is this the change? Is this the change? And I want to just yell at him like, yes, it is the change. The changes are subtle. I'll tell you that right now. The monsters are much more willing to take advantage of your flanks. That's the thing, is that when I made my critical mode tips video, I explained that getting surrounded was a very fast way to die. And I'll tell you right now that getting surrounded is something that these enemies deliberately try to get you to do to yourself. And now, I died here too, but I'll pretty much tell you right now that I'm going to die pretty much at all these fights, and if I don't, I will tell you. I'm a very honest guy. I'm not trying to make videos. Look at this, shooting the car, so helpful. I'm not trying to make videos here that say that I'm the best player. There are people who are better at this game than me, and I've repeated that before. But my whole methodology of playing this game isn't to make a difficult mode easier. It's to challenge myself with the difficulty of the game. So when I was playing my Kingdom Hearts 2 game, I made my critical mode. I leveled up throughout it, and I had a lot of difficulties with the end game grind. Especially, I will put it out there, Lingering Will was and is to this day the hardest Kingdom Hearts boss in the series, and I will tell you right now, I did not beat him. So when I say that this is a level 1 critical mode playthrough, this is my first time playing level 1 on any Kingdom Hearts game whatsoever. And I figured that now would be the time to do that, since this is the new game. The meta game has evolved immensely with just the release of this game. Speedrunning this game is a completely different mentality now, because there are going to be so many different ways to speedrun this game, and not just ways to speedrun it, but challenges when performing speedruns and just regular playthroughs of the game. So I think that the versatility of the Kingdom Hearts series to be a very watchable game makes this something that I really want to invest my time into, because right now I'm just babbling on, I'm making an introduction, and I'm just kind of sharing my opinions with you guys, but I've also been researching a lot, so I will keep this Let's Enjoy series, Let's Enjoy Kingdom Hearts. I'll just be talking about my opinions on the story, or my opinions on the gameplay and things like that, and I will really try to keep my really critical thinking, my really intense analysis of the boss fights, for example, the abilities that I've been using along the way. I made my critical mode tips and tricks video, Let's Enjoy Critical Mode, and I recorded myself starting my playthrough here. I chose the same magic setup, right? And I just haven't been leveling up, so it's not like I'm doing anything differently. And I'll also put it out there right now, I'm using the classic tone Keyblade. I've been using the classic tone Keyblade throughout my entire playthrough, and I don't think I'm just gonna put out a last little opinion to sprinkle into this video so that people can hate me for it. But I do not think that level 1 critical mode was designed to be played without New Game Plus. I think New Game Plus was really the way that critical mode was designed to be played, because having access to all of the Keyblades at the beginning gives you the choice of your playstyle right off the bat. You know, you can get away with playing critical mode regular and level up and just get the Keyblades that you get as you go. That's what the game is designed to do. That's why you get the Keyblades the way you get them. But, I mean, the whole aspect of the challenge of not doing New Game Plus is going to be a meta game all in itself. Just not bringing your Keyblades over from the last save. And so I didn't do that. I see myself as not that good yet, so I brought my Keyblades over so that I could have versatility and choice in my moveset. So I didn't give myself an advantage. I honestly don't feel like the Keyblades that you get give you an advantage. I'm gonna tell you right now, I waited for my MP to recharge so I could shoot this guy and make a cool end.
Not cool.
People like spectacle, not truth.
Yeah, who needs quality reporting when you can just make stuff up?
I don't get it. I mean, didn't they see how awesome we were? Sure, those things landed a couple of good hits, but we had chem balls and laser hands and fire breathing!
Well, it really didn't matter. They beat us.
Where'd they come from?
Well, why don't we ask the guys who actually stopped them?
Hiro, you never introduced us.
Oh, right. Well, this is the gang. That's Go-Go. He's Wasabi.
How you doing?
And that's Honey Lemon.
Hello there.
What? I'm Fred. Don't be alarmed. This is not my real body.
Good. For a second, I thought this was the monster we...
Those three are Sora, Donald, and Goofy.
Huh?
The,
Keyblade Hero 3!
I am detecting minute contractions in your faces and shoulders, perhaps due to the garage's brisk temperature. To remedy that, I will give each of you a hug and warm you with my internal heat source.
Hey, why did you say that?
Sora, you know Donald and I don't have Keyblades.
So, are we heroes or aren't we?
Not here, we're not.
The monsters. Tell us how you managed to take them down.
They're called the Heartless, and they're drawn to the darkness inside people's hearts.
Ooh, now we're talking. Light versus darkness. Classic conflict.
Would you calm down, Fred?
What?
This is serious.
Very serious. We don't have any way to fight them.
Wait, so we're just gonna give up?
With our current skill set, my analysis places our chances at 0.00000.
we get it, Baymax.
Hey, don't sweat it. The three of us will go take care of the Heartless for you. Right? Donald? Goofy?
Mm-hmm.
Wait. We're going too.
It's okay, we got it.
We have to help. My brother would have.
Yes.
Yeah. Great, but don't we need a plan?
We train up. When heroes are brought low, they get new powers. It's Shugyo time.
Did you read that in Geeks Quarterly?
Fred's actually not wrong. I may have an idea.
AR device?
Yeah. Cool, huh? It creates a CG overlay that augments your vision. While you wear it, this device sees everything you do and logs it.
Huh.
You put it on your face. Heartless! Donald! Goofy!
What? Are you okay?
There's no Heartless here.
Huh? But, Whoa, chill, Sora. Just take the AR device off.
Huh? Huh? Oh. Oh. Wow! I have no idea how you're doing it, but this is cool.
Thanks. But so far the map data only covers San Francisco. I need to expand it.
Now can we Shugyo?
Not yet, Fred. He's still learning.
Sora, all you need to do is run through some courses that Hero scripted. Like a minigame.
We'll put a tracer on your movements so we can...
Shugyo! Shugyo! Shugyo!
So we can Shugyo.
I guess Shugyo's like training. That's a good idea. We could probably use the practice.
Speak for yourself.
I can Shugyo by installing new combat data.
Huh?
Hey,
Oh?
let's just try it out.
So, customizing your abilities here is going to be the most important thing. I want to emphasize that flow motion attacks and flow motion abilities should be the first thing that you focus on gathering a preference for, because that's going to be how you get around, that's going to be how you attack in combos and such, and flow motion is actually very important, and it's super subtle. So this is what I use. I eventually actually took off that triple rush too, because it would do things like activate during my combos and prevent me from blocking or dodging out of my attack, just like the ground breaker and the rising spiral. I also don't like aerial dodge. It's just not enough of a dodge for me. So I take that off. I prefer just dashing away from an attack and not relying on the iframes of an air dodge to save me. I like dodge rolling, and that's something that I can rely on as my iframes because I am at least accustomed to that. And one more thing I wanted to mention before getting into the gameplay is, in critical mode, is this removal of the ride commands and adding critical recharge, which is kind of like Berserk in KH2. So you'll see me utilizing these skills a lot instead of relying on ride commands. And I didn't record Shugyo. Sorry.
I'll check it out.
But after Shugyo, you get the Focus Siphon ability, which is something that you might like. And you get a small cutscene where the town is being, well, the city is being terrorized by Heartless during the day. Oh no. Then you get just plopped into having to deal with Heartless all over the city, and Sora has to deal with the special situations. So this is one of the first, like, marathon fights where you have a lot of different waves of Heartless that are super difficult. And look at this tiny little space that we're in. I, of course, did die a lot here. I have, like, 2 hours worth of me just dying. So, let's get rid of that stuff and get right into it. Yo. Plasma encounter. Just watch how this works. Because the importance of thinking ahead and being aware of what type of enemies you'll be around is really what will dictate how you customize your loadouts and how you use your items in combat. I'm a magic guy, so this is all magic damage. And this is just, I don't know, I think I finally learned how to use this during this fight. And I screwed it up a lot. but look at how effective it is. When you cover just about all of the space that these guys can be, they even spawn into the attack and take a little bit of damage. So it's very useful for wave fights at small quarters, because you could just set up a giant Thundaga ring that deals damage over time and area of effect. So stunning enemies and dealing damage to them is... Thunder is just... Oof. Thunder's the most powerful spell, elemental spell that Sora has access to nowadays. And it is appropriately very expensive to cost MP-wise, so I don't use it unless I'm using Thundaza or Plasma Encounter now. I've learned the usefulness of Plasma Encounter. But, I'm still trying to not talk too much about specific details of things, and I want to just try to emphasize that trying to do this fight any other way on my level 1 was, like I said, I had 2 hours worth of me just trying to do this, and the last like 45 minutes or something like that was me testing out this Plasma Encounter and getting as far as I have. And now, before this point, I had grinded all the way through the fight and done all of those things to get to the next portion of this fight. But you get pushed into the next portion of this fight after a cutscene, and you don't get to reload any of your items or heal yourself or anything like that. You just get put into the fight. And something I noticed that was making me dissatisfied, it wasn't really anything about the difficulty, it was just I wasn't satisfied with getting up to defeating these guys. And look at my focus bar, by the way. I wasn't satisfied with getting up to defeating these guys and then getting up to this guy next, and then just needing to retry. That was something that bothered me. So when I set up my victory for that, I set it up so that I didn't need to retry. I did. Trust me, I had twice as much time spent on this boss as I did on the previous fight just now. And I learned a lot about the satisfaction of defeating this boss too, is that you can't just use everything at your disposal all at once. Thinking ahead, again, I died here a lot. So thinking ahead is probably the most important thing you should do when you're dying and over again, stuck at a boss or something like that. Don't just keep using all of your abilities all at once. Because see, now after retrying so many times, the only thing I changed from the state that I won the battle in and the state that I am now retrying the battle in is that my MP is recharged. And honestly, that I could have just used an ether to get out of that. This fight, I had everybody using ethers, by the way, so you'll see my mana bar get filled up by Donald and Goofy constantly. Yeah, there's one. And Baymax has potions with the cure spray on, so that Donald doesn't have to cure me. It's just Baymax curing me. It became very effective because after a while, not only were they helping me just learn how to fight this boss, I was getting as far as I was getting because they were helping me. But then, as I started to get better at fighting this boss, I started to notice that the way they positioned themselves and the way they used the items throughout the fight was specific to my strategy almost. Probably not exactly specific to my strategy, but adhering to things and parameters that I have given to them with much more success rather than just randomness. And now, this is where I could start getting into my emphasis of the difference between proud mode, critical mode, and then just level 1 playing in general. It doesn't matter if you're playing level 1 on easy mode. The battling and farming up until this point for XP, for example, or for materials, or for money, or whatever, the farming is non-existent. Because you're not wasting materials on just going back and fighting random mobs. Every single fight is a specific value to you. I also noticed that the platforming and critical analysis involved in level 1 playthroughs allowed me to really get an appreciation for the world design and find ways to do this. Now, I would only use my links with Simba to give me invincibility during his armor and to allow me to break through his armor as quickly as possible so that I don't just get stuck taking a bunch of damage. And see, he's doing the same thing. He's going into an armored phase to do as much damage to me as possible without taking more damage to his total health. And I think me going into Simba there is just the natural counter to that. I don't use my links anywhere else in this fight except to counter his transformation like that. I use Keyblade transformations and Blizzaza as my main form of damage throughout this fight. You'll see me get, for example, I just got Ars Arcanum there with second form, but Blizzaza is really my damaging move here. It takes huge chunks out of his health whenever it hits him, and it's very fast. It's faster than fire. I definitely think that Blizzard is faster than fire, which is interesting. And now, as we get through this fight, I want to start to bring focus to another thing. Up until now, the themes of each world's progression have followed an extremely linear path. Olympus and Arendelle have constant uphill battle for the player to endure, while Corona and Monsters Inc. had much more linear paths with the platforming and traversal that was a little bit more common in KH1. And now, in San Francisco and the Caribbean, we will see we are given thematic linear objectives, just like we've gotten all throughout the game. And then this objective is placed within a large sandbox that we just kind of have to find our way around in. The uphill battles are mixed in between the linear segments of platforming. In both worlds, skyscrapers and highways will be spinning you around looking for a landmark, and then the other, a vast space of ocean above and below, between islands of entirely different terrain between one another. If the player is adhering to the battle level, also known as the canonic progression of the game, they will find themselves at the Caribbean before they reach this point. And as I've said before, I am deliberately going to the more difficult level first. Invariably, the Caribbean will yield more synthesis materials and fewer combat scenarios that will actually affect your level, and any lower level for that matter. So the Caribbean is pretty quick and easy when it comes to completing the story and moving on. And it's also much more complex in respect to where everything is located that I want to get before I move on. So doing this world first, having the more complex world first, I could spend my time here and then quickly do the Caribbean and spend my time there and have more efficient videos for you. I do want to grab all the lucky emblems as I go. I do miss a few while I'm here, but I will say that Everglow's video is still extremely relevant, and it came out just a few days after the release of this game, so I cannot take credit for finding any of the lucky emblems really on my own. I have used that video over and over again to find the ones that I've missed. And now that I'm kind of done with my introduction, even though I'm halfway through this video, I can really start talking about what I've been doing on screen. The classic tone, the midnight blue keyblade, and the hero's origin, as well as the honey spout. I like the honey spout, it's interesting. But in order to get the classic tone that I'm using right now, it's not as much work as the Ultima weapon. It's actually not as much work, it's faster, but it's more difficult to get the classic tone Keyblade than it is to get the Ultima weapon, in my opinion. I'll only say that because the Ultima weapon is really just grinding a few little mini games for a high score and finding all the places where the Orichalcum pluses are hidden. After that, you're just playing the game mostly. The classic tone, however, is unlocked after you find all of the Classic Kingdom minigames. And then, not just the Classic Kingdom minigames are needed, but you need to achieve a high score. There is no high score to break, you just need to get a score saved into your Classic Kingdom minigame. And then all of a sudden, you unlock the Classic Tone. And I've got to say that the only advantage of using the Classic Tone is probably the fact that it has the hammer form, and it also uses magic enhancements. So you'll see me using the surrounding magic attack, and you'll also see me using the hammer form pretty much to win a lot of these fights. So if you want to make an equivalent of that, think about the Pirate Keyblade that you get. You get the Highwind Keyblade transformation, and you also get Waterza, which is super useful alongside the form changes. So just don't worry about the fact that the classic tone is magic emphasized.
Just try and catch me.
I've got an idea!
Hey! I can't aim if I can't see! Huh?
Better?
Much better.
Freeze! What? Oh, I get it. It's a combo move!
Nice, Baymax! Huh? What?
Now we fist bump.
Fist bump?
To display excitement. Hero taught it to me.
So, like, this?
Ba-la-la-la-la-la.
Ba-la-la-la-la-la? Oh,
Get ready!
another one?
We're here!
Can't we pick on one our own size?
It looks the right size to me.
Watch me scorch him with my Freeze-nado! The only tornado made of ice and fire.
You took on the wrong composition.
And the wrong captain of the guard.
Prepare to face Keyblade Hero 3!
Oh, come on.
And the crime-fighting team of Big Hero 6. Together, we're unstoppable.
Yes! Was that awesome? Or was that totally awesome? Ha-ha! Jumping!
Yeah, I was pretty good.
Your magic is amazing. Do you think I could study it sometime?
Why not?
You just made Donald's day.
My brother wanted to help people. now we try to do the same.
Your brother?
Yeah, Tadashi. There was a fire and now he's gone. But he always wanted to make a difference. He cared about people. That's why he worked so hard to create Baymax.
I'm sorry.
He's still here. In Baymax. In all of us.
Tadashi, he lives on in your hearts.
Huh? Yeah. Right. He will always be a part of us. In some way.
And when you're not strong enough, he'll make up the difference.
Sora, you okay?
Yeah, fine. Oh. I'm with you. What?
Great, they're back.
Oh, we got this.
Time for a lesson.
Charge!
Wait! Guys! That one's not like the others! It can't be. Microbots?
Microbots?
Huh?
You know what they are?
Well, they're different from Heartless.
Microbots are designed to do whatever you think via a neurotransmitter that communicates what you're...
Huh?
They're kind of a mini bot I invented. Some bad stuff happened and I thought that meant they were totally gone. But those enemies are way too similar. Which means someone's controlling them. The question is, who? Could it be? I'm gonna go back to the garage and look into it some more. You mind going after him?
Sure.
Of course.
We need you on the sciencey stuff.
Baymax? Stick with them.
All right, hero. Sora, Donald, Goofy, I will be your personal healthcare companion.
Thanks, Baymax. We're in good hands. Come on, let's move!
Hurry, Sora!
So, while I sift through my abilities here on screen, I want to emphasize that any Keyblade you use at this point is really only limited by your playstyle. If you're a physical fighter, then I would suggest using the more physical Keyblades, obviously, and then the magic likewise. But I find myself using magic as my damage dealing, and then supporting with a physical Keyblade like the hero's origin, or using a balanced Keyblade like I finally used the shooting star. And when it really comes down to which form changes are most useful for you, and which emphasize the abilities that you like to use, any Keyblade is usable, so I won't really go into that. I will say that if you want the classic tone, if you like the way that the classic tone looks, it is one of 3 of the best Keyblades in the game, in my opinion. The Ultima weapon being the first, because it is well-rounded and has intense combos with finishers and shot locks galore. The classic tone would be second on that list, and I definitely think that going through and getting all the classic Kingdom classic Kingdom minigames, and then getting a Mickey emblem. You gotta complete the game enough to get a Mickey emblem on every single one of them, and you should get it. There are videos out there on how to get the scores, so I won't go over that. The third weapon, the best weapon in the game, is the Grand Chef, I believe it's called, and you get that from the achievement or trophy that is for completing something in the bistro. I think it's getting an excellent on the bistro, and then you get the Grand Chef. You can look into that if you're really interested. The only emphasis that the Grand Chef really gives you that is not in the other two Keyblades that I mentioned, the Ultima and the Classic Tone, is that the Grand Chef's form changes are much more violent physically than they are magically. And I just like the Classic Tone's Boom Hammer giving me that surrounding AoE spell. And I really like the Ultima weapon's ability to just be versatile in any situation. So I find myself not wanting the Grand Chef Keyblade and not feeling the need to even try to grind for it, because it doesn't look more difficult or longer than the Ultima weapon. It really just looks like more of a headache, to be perfectly honest. And now, this was the part where I was just kind of running through here and getting as many items as I could either find or remember where they were, and then grabbing, again, as many as the lucky emblems that I could. The one lucky emblem that I miss out here is... Oh, I missed two out here. Yes, I have my notes here. I missed two out here. One is on the sign that only appears at night. There's a Mickey emblem that appears on a sign. Actually, it's pretty much right below this area where I am now. So, you know, it's probably just easier to show you all of the final products here and do one more plug for Everglow. Again, check out their video on the lucky emblems. Much better than anything I could do. And that's probably the last time I will mention that, so I don't keep repeating myself. But moving on. So now I really want to talk about the weapons I'm using on Donald and Goofy. So now I would say not to worry about synthesizing the weapons that you get along the way for them, because the increase in power is really not worth the materials as you go along. I specifically made the Warhammer for the item boost, and the freeze shield is actually pretty cool looking and just about as strong as the other ones, so I grabbed that for myself as well later on. I would also suggest, regardless of mage or physical, but especially if you're a physical fighter, to have 99 potions on you pretty much as often as possible. Set your party members to heal you only, so set them so that they don't use it on others or themselves, just you. And then if you set it to use like crazy in your customization menu, in your start menu, you'll be able to have them kind of just throw items at you when you need it. You may need to kind of adjust your playstyle a little bit to let the AI heal you or reset your MP with an ether. But as you saw in the boss fight before, it's really not hard to work around that, and you can pretty much use it to your advantage to save items in your inventory for the final phase of a fight, which is useful. So the same applies if you give your party members refocusers as well. And even though they're more expensive and rare, focus can be the difference between getting through a quick phase of a fight and getting completely just flipped over on your heels. So as long as you maintain potions and maybe keep a couple tents on you as well, just in case you don't find a save point, the autosave feature is actually pretty useful if you have to like get up and run somewhere real quick, or if you run out of time and you can't save your game, and for some reason you can't leave your PlayStation on or something and you just gotta turn off the game. Sometimes it'll save right at the end of the last cutscene and you don't really lose much, so try to use that to your advantage as well. I talked about critical converter before, and if you enjoy using the ride commands, I will say power to you. But the situation commands in this game all have various uses, and I enjoy them. I just prefer utility than randomness, if that makes sense. I'd rather not rely on a random teacups or a random pirate ship and just know that I have Simba in my back pocket to whip out. So I want to talk about link commands being so much more powerful than any situation command possible, because the links make you immortal just like the other commands that I'm mentioning, but they also heal you when you activate them. So that's a completely different utility. They provide a level of mobility that Sora cannot access well on his own, especially without having glide until pretty much the end game. The Interceptor Wing, for example, and the Rocket Ruckus from the Toy Story world are useful for getting around and actually just getting away from a fight as well. So if you've combined everything I said together with the obvious damage dealing potential that these links have, with proper planning and strategic usage, as you've seen so far, I use my links specifically to heal myself and to give myself invincibility and mobility, as I've been talking about. So, you know, I've talked a lot about the links now, and I can still emphasize that I've talked a lot about critical converter and critical charge. Combining all of these guaranteed abilities together, for example, the critical converter giving you guaranteed form changes. Without critical converter, you don't get a form change every time you fill the gauge. Sometimes you just get nothing. So remember that.
Target acquired.
They're not microbots. Careful.
Back off! It's no fair! Why can't we hurt it?
Magic is no good.
What do we do? Huh?
This is weird.
Sora, you guys
Yeah, but the target escaped. Have you got any leads?
Tons. Somewhere inside that thing, there is a core. It's what powers the whole cluster. The core is the only way to hurt it. Now he tells us. Wasabi, what happened? Let's just say it's a handful. Team, check in.
So far, so good. Guys, I am really tired of just dodging this thing.
Freddy getting frustrated. Guys, I'm on my way.
No, Hiro!
Hero, you analyzed the dark cubes.
Wait, did you just say dark cubes?
Yeah, they're dark, they're cubes. I call them like I see them. Every bad baddie needs a cool name.
Yeah, that's not cool.
We'll gather as much data from the dark cubes as we can.
Hero, figure out a way for us to beat this thing! Huh? Ah!
But guys, I can't leave you out there all alone.
Hiro,
We are a team. And teams delegate. We need you at the garage.
We trust you, so you trust us.
Fine. I'll look for a way that we can expose the dark cube's core. And just keep that data coming. Copy.
Hero, what should we do?
You protect the others. I'll mark their position for you on your AR display.
We got it! Time to go, Baymax!
All right.
Sora, the dark cubes are gonna be tricky to bust open. You'll have to assess everyone's situation and...
Yeah, improvise! I know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Honey Lemon!
Hey, Sora? I think I'm stuck. Use the divine rescue from my chem ball. If you hit it with fire or electricity, it might trigger a chain reaction.
Yeah. Ha. Yeah. Back off!
So, all you Kingdom Hearts 1 players out there remember the Phantom of the Clock Tower, I'm sure. And we had to set up our shortcut commands a certain way for that fight to be able to be done efficiently, at least. Unless you were just crazy at the way
Gracias, Sora. Next
at the way the command system in this game works, with scrolling through the menu on the left there.
I'm glad you're safe.
But the Phantom needed to be hit by each elemental magic type
Are you in there?
to be damaged at all, and it was this constant just
See anything big?
ice, fire, thunder, attack, attack, ice, fire, thunder, attack, attack. And then not only that, but the monsters' attacks were not exactly easy to dodge or really blockable. In those days, you could not block while you were flying, and the fight was done entirely while flying. So, while I was doing this, the first time I was doing this, I found myself drifting back to that thought of those days. And you saw the Honey Lemon Chem Balls. I had to switch through my magic there to hit Thunder. But I've had it where it was all 3 different elemental types, and I lucked out where I had Fire and Blizzard already set up. This one was interesting too. the first time I did this, I could not figure out how to break this ball. And I was trying to run up the buildings and get an aerial attack on it, and it was just so hard to situate myself above it just to get an attack, and I wasn't able to do it. So I finally thought to myself, how am I supposed to do this? Well, I was talking over it before, and now I could just say that when you get close to the ball, Donald is like, "What about the ball from Shugyo?" You know, this big red thing that you have to knock off of the building. So that's how you break this ball, by the way. I thought that was interesting. And I wanted to talk about that Phantom because we're getting to the end of my video now, and I want to hear comments and conversations about what I've been talking about here towards the end, with efficiency of combos, the power of links, and whether or not they are overpowered. I don't think links are overpowered, especially with the patch that they have made for only healing half health instead of full health. Especially at critical mode, that half health, every little bit counts. It's like, you know, half a cure spell for your full mana bar, and you get that ridiculous power. Like, you can use a cure spell at 1 or 100 MP, so, you know, I just use a cure spell in critical mode to get rid of the red beeping noise, honestly, at this point. I also want to say that this part of the game, I really enjoyed it because it made me think. I had to figure out that dashing around the poles would open that up. I don't know if anyone thought that was super obvious, but it took me a second to figure that out the first time. The ball, as I said, rolling into it in the streets, that was probably the most difficult one for me. This one was straightforward. Oh no, I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of getting attacked from above, and there's jets right there, conveniently, so I don't know. I think I figured that out first when I did this first, because I just instinctively like to go to the top point to look around when I'm trying to figure things out. You'll see me do that a lot. But now, here comes my favorite part of this entire game, honestly. This gotta be one of my favorite parts of this entire game, so I have a lot to talk about in the next episode. I do.
Nah, it's okay, Hero. We're on it.
Thanks.